Today we will crown a national champion. We have 4 teams left in the college football playoff, and by the end of the episode, we will be down to 1. 2 very exciting matchups with 4 teams who all have very differing stories through the course of the year, as we've got Georgia versus Miami and Clemson versus USC in the 6-7 matchup. So last episode we went through the quarterfinal games. Miami and Georgia mopping the floor, coming off their first round byes, making it look easy against Notre Dame and LSU. The Canes won at the Rose Bowl 33-9. And the question with Miami is how they were going to look after a 5-week layover. They looked more than fine. For a team who struggled to run the ball this year, they ran it really well. Maxwell Logan had his worst game of the year and the worst performance any quarterback has had in the playoffs so far. As for Georgia, it was a similar song and dance. They took care of business against LSU. Ryan Lockley played a good game. Brian Maddie with 2 big touchdowns in the first quarter. Obviously, the big storyline here was how well the defense played with 3 interceptions against the former Georgia quarterback, Hoppy Reynolds. I was super excited to see how Reynolds would look against his former team. It wasn't great. I don't think he was as bad as Max Logan was. I think his receivers really failed him. They couldn't get open. They couldn't catch the ball. But the fact of the matter is they scored 0 points after the first quarter. In the other 2 games, though, we had a couple of big upsets. I think everyone was looking at this potential Texas Tech versus SMU matchup in the Final Four. Those teams will play against each other, but in the Cancun Bowl. Didn't start off pretty for USC. They were down 10-0 after the first quarter against Texas Tech. But Jackson Jackson really got rolling. He had 3 touchdowns in the third. He had some absolutely ridiculous throws to beat a Texas Tech team who hadn't lost since week 2 of last year. 27 games in a row, including a national championship. And then Clemson beating SMU. The Mustangs have been the favorites to win the title since week 1 at the very start of the year. They went undefeated into the regular season, but they lost to Clemson in the ACC title and again in the playoff. 471 yards for Nick Epperly. Messiah Cook at 168, while Judah Yesufu added 104. Tyree Wells played a very good game himself, though. He will probably be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, going to likely the New York Jets. The first 15 minutes of the game was genuinely some of the best quarterbacking I think I've ever seen in my life. Some of the throws he was making were just out of this world. He did cool off a little bit after that, while Clemson obviously got hot. None of the 4 quarterfinal games were very close. They were all decided by at least 3 scores. And so far, of our first 8 playoff games, only one of them, LSU and Penn State, has been a 1-score game. I feel like we are due for some really, really good matchups. And without spoiling too much, these 2 semifinal games definitely delivered. 4 very unique teams with very differing stories. Miami has the best roster left in the field. Georgia, the number 1 team who hasn't lost since the opening week of the year. USC is the hottest quarterback in the country. Their offense is humming. And then you have Clemson, who just kind of feels like the team of destiny. We'll start at the Cotton Bowl, the 6-7 Bowl, if you will, between number 6 Clemson and number 7 USC. Whoever wins this game will be the underdog in the national championship. However, the one prediction I'm going to make is I actually think the winner of this game will win the championship. Yeah, they haven't been as dominant as either Miami or Georgia through the course of the year, but there are no 2 teams in the country who are as battle-tested as USC and Clemson, and there are no 2 better resumes than USC or Clemson. These 2 teams have had an absolute gauntlet of a schedule and have found ways to win all these games. USC blows out Penn State. They beat Wisconsin. They beat Nebraska. They beat Michigan at the Big House. And they only lost to Notre Dame by 1, which is relevant because Clemson got blown out by Notre Dame earlier in the year. Beat Ohio State in the conference title. Beat Arizona State. Upset Texas Tech in the second round. And that sends us to the matchup against Clemson. Now, my question for USC is how they are going to start. Through the first quarter of their first 2 playoff games, they have been outscored 17-0. In the final 3 quarters of those 2 games, however, they have outscored their 2 opponents 71-14. And a big reason for that has been the play of Jackson Jackson, who, especially against Texas Tech, really delivered. He had a couple of crazy touchdown passes to his number 1 receiver, Bug Cowell. And then this defense is playing some absurdly good football. Colin Costanzo has been arguably the best player on the field in each of their first 2 games at linebacker. You got 3 guys with at least 9 sacks. You have Buxton Weischer, who's been kind of quiet in the playoff, but he has 11 interceptions this year. That leads the country. He's currently CB1 in this year's class. And then you have Clemson. USC is the second most combined opponent wins. Clemson's number 1. That goes to show how many good teams that these 2 schools have played against this year. And as we look at Clemson, obviously they didn't start the year off very strong. They were 4-2. They barely beat us. Lost to Boston College, blown out against Notre Dame. And at this point, they cannot lose another game. They have to win out. Well, the cardiac Clemson Tigers just keep finding a way. They won their last 6 regular season games, 4 of which featured fourth-quarter comebacks, including on the road against Miami, and then their final 3 games. I didn't really trust them, though. They're playing at the level of their competition, but they've really proven it over the last 3 weeks. They beat SMU in the ACC title. They beat Texas in the first round. They beat SMU again. All 3 of those games decided by at least 14 points. Nick Eberle, of course, has had a very up-and-down season, but when the lights have been the brightest, he has found a way to deliver. This receiving core, of course, has been very impressive, too. Judah Yesufu has looked excellent every time we've watched him play. Messiah Cook had 170 yards against SMU. He was carving those boys apart. And then this defense, especially this secondary, is amongst the best in the country. They will be without their top pass rusher, Xavier Rumble, the freshman, 11.5 sacks. But in the back end, they are loaded. Eric Henderson Jr., 3 interceptions through the 2 playoff games. Along with Henderson, I would expect all 3 of Isaiah Austin, Faezanor Samadi, and Amirion Gaskins to each go in the first 2 rounds of this year's NFL draft. When we had our prospect profile for the DBs in yesterday's upload for the Browns series, I talked about this specific matchup with USC, especially with the 2 safeties, Austin and Gaskins. USC loves to stretch the field. They look deep very often. Well, it is hard to throw the ball vertically against Clemson because you have 2 of the best pure zone coverage center fielders in America, with Isaiah Austin, the top projected safety in this class, and Amirion Gaskins, who's probably going to go in the second round himself. Maybe the 2 best cover safeties in this class. You've got Jackson, who's got the terrific deep ball, and then those 2 guys patrolling the back end. So I think USC's passing game versus Clemson's secondary will be the number 1 matchup to watch. Clemson starts with the ball. Frosty Winters up the middle. Gets it past the 40. Nice gain of about 15 for the talented sophomore. Following play, it's play action. Eberle connects with Judah Yesufu. Breaks a tackle. Breaks another from Weischer. And he is gone. 57-yard touchdown for Judah Yesufu. And Clemson is on the board early here in the Cotton Bowl. Judah Yesufu has been arguably the best player on the field every time we've seen Clemson play this year, whether it's been in the playoff or the game against Virginia Tech. The Hokies defense plays really well against wide receiver 1s, but not Judah Yesufu. And he's carried that success over to the postseason, and he's carried it over to this opening drive with a long touchdown. 7-0 lead for Clemson. Here's USC. Jackson hands it off for Mike Chesney. With room to the left side, he stiff arms Isaiah Austin. Gain of 27, wrapped up by Samadi. Jalir Jean has been USC's starting running back this year, but he got benched last week for Chesney, and I guess that still holds to form. Here's Jackson looking for the end zone. It's caught! Colin Daniels leaves Faezanor Samadi in the dust. 38-yard score, and USC ties it at 7. Couple of long touchdowns through the air here in the opening 5 minutes of the game. Not a bad start for these 2 passing attacks. So far, so good for the vertical passing game of USC as they do beat Clemson over the top with Daniels. So we are now knotted up. Drive number 2 for the Tigers, 2nd and 10 at the 20. Nick Eberle, the redshirt sophomore, by himself in the backfield, former 5-star recruit. As he connects down the field, it's Messiah Cook, the former number 1 recruit in his class, who gets it past the 50. Read option, Eberle keeps it. Eberle with a first down. Although the left tackle, Deontay McCray, hurt for Clemson. That's not ideal. Eberle under pressure. He is sacked by Addison Melvin and Vi Topa. So USC gets the stop on 3rd down, and that will bring out the field goal unit for Clemson. It's Anthony Rosa, his kick from around 42. We're going to give Clemson their lead back. His kick is up, and it is good. 10-7 in favor of the Tigers, as USC will get it back. Their defense kind of gets the stop. So far, looking like a shootout early. We'll see what the Trojans can do here on drive number 2. Jackson joined by both of his running backs, one to each side. Fakes the handoff for Gene. He connects with Mike Chesney past the 40. Wrapped up by Isaiah Austin. So far, Chesney, he's getting a bulk of the touches, and he's off to a great start. 2nd and 8, off play action. Jackson has all day to throw it, and he connects with Kyrie Sampson, the sophomore, who gets the first down. He's out of bounds at the 38. Just over 2 to go now in the opening quarter, with Jalir Jean switching sides into backfield. Jackson will throw it up the middle. It's caught. Another first down for the Trojans. They're moving it really well. That's Sampson again with the reception. Both of these passing games are just having no problems moving it down the field. I mean, these are normally two of the very best secondaries in the country. Doesn't look like that today. Inside the 10-yard line now, it's Bug Coel, who's been USC's #1 receiver this year. Heart over height. He's only 5'8", but he's found a way to make it work. 3rd and goal, overthrown. Jackson was looking for Matthew Firth, and USC is going to have to kick as they will attempt to tie the game up at 10. This one is up from Maka Mafu, and it is good. So we are knotted up at 10 apiece, nearing the conclusion of the first quarter. We'll see what Clemson can do here over these next 17 seconds, I guess, in a high-scoring, close game. Eberle on 2nd down, short throw for Yesufu. Oh, he broke his ankles! Judah Yesufu inside the 20, the 10, the 5. It's a touchdown! Judah Yesufu is unguardable. It's a 78-yarder, and Clemson regains the lead. What a play after the catch by Yesufu, who puts Buxton Weisher, number 11, on skates. Weisher, the top projected corner in the draft, has gotten embarrassed twice by Yesufu. He missed the tackle the first time and then gets his ankle snatched the second time. Whole lot of offense so far here in Arlington. Clemson leads 17-10. They're averaging 13 yards a play. USC only averaging around 10. We have gotten some fireworks early in this game. We've got more fireworks in the first quarter of this game than the first 2 rounds of the playoff combined. 3rd and 24 after a couple penalties. Jackson scrambles, does not get the first down. And we have our first punt of the game, and we'll see if Clemson can take advantage with good field position. Here's Eberle up the middle. He's picked off. Colin Costanzo, what a playoff run it's been for this young man. Continues his dominance. Eberle intercepted for the 15th time this season. Costanzo has been arguably the best player on the field really at all times this playoff run for USC's defense, but he's only projected to go in the 5th round. Standing at just 5'11". He doesn't have the traits, but the production's been so impressive down the stretch. Up the seam, that one is hauled in. Cesar Lorello, the tight end, brings USC in the red zone. 3rd down and about, probably say 6-7 yards for the Trojans. Jackson, it's caught. Bug Coel reaches in. Touchdown USC. The Trojans tie it up again. Heart over height, 5'8", less than 190 pounds. Bug Coel really lives up to his name. The smallest guy on the field, but maybe the grittiest. Breaks the tackle midair from Austin. He's able to reach over the plane, and we are tied at 17. Eberle on the run. It's Frosty Winters, who gets it just inside at the 45-yard line for a first down. It's intercepted again, though, just plays later. Amaris Courtney, the other star linebacker, picks it off for USC. And Eberle, who had a couple of big touchdowns in the first quarter, has now been picked off twice here in the second. That's been one of the key concerns for Eberle throughout the year, the turnovers. He's now been picked off 16 times this year. It's Courtney who jumps the route, making the play for USC. The Trojans looking for their first lead of the game. 2nd and 10. Jackson up the middle. It's caught. Kyrie Sampson inside the 20. Jackson has passed the eye test and then some. I didn't think he was that good against Arizona State, but against Texas Tech, and definitely today, he's been awesome. Up the seam, he's got Daniels again! Beats Amirion Gaskins for a score. Colin Daniels is second of the game. USC takes their first lead of the afternoon with a minute left in the second. I mean, this Clemson defense shut down Tyree Wells twice, and they shut down Bryce Carver, the top 2 quarterbacks in the draft. Right now, they're getting picked apart by Jackson Jackson. This is eye-opening. Clemson back with it under a minute left in the half. Play action. Eberle down the field for Yesufu again! Judah Yesufu! It's a hat trick! 5 catches, 220 yards, and 3 touchdowns! Clemson ties it at 24. This guy is completely unguardable. Judah Yesufu is just playing out of his mind. Leaves the corner in the dust on the go route, and then once he caught the ball, it was clear no one's catching him. Of his 220 yards, 168 of them have come after the catch. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. He looks like a top 10 draft pick right now. Tied at 24, going into the break. This game has been unbelievable. Clemson has 337 yards of offense. USC is 300. The 2 quarterbacks have just been putting on a clinic. Jackson Jackson, 22 for 29, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Nick Eberle, 16 of 21, 316 yards, 15 per attempt, nearly 20 per completion, 3 touchdowns. Has been picked off twice, though. Judah Yesufu's obviously been the star of the show. I mentioned his numbers, 5 for 220 and 3. For USC, everybody's getting the rock. Coel has 57 yards. Sampson has 69. Daniels has 68 to go along with 2 touchdowns. These passing games have been putting on fireworks so far, and we get another half of football left. Let's have some fun. Cesar Lorello does not get the first down. Fayezinor Samadi brings him down, and we've got a punt. Just the second punt of the game. Here's the third punt. Emmanuel Whippler loses yards. Clemson didn't punt it once in the first half. They either scored or turned the ball over every drive. 2nd and 11. Here's Jackson. He'll go short. It's Jalir Jean with a juke move, breaking tackles, and he's wrapped up at around the 40-ish yard line. Maybe more like the 39. 2nd and 10 for USC. Jackson Jackson looks to throw it. Steps up, scrambles, and he's sacked. Jalen Bulaga brings him down. And it seems like a flip has maybe been switched in this third quarter. Both of these defenses are looking a lot better right now. Jackson to pass it on 3rd and 17. It is broken away, incomplete. Isaiah Austin got a hand on it. Clemson has it back on 2nd down. Frosty Winters with a spin move. He gets it past the USC 35. Finally, somebody's starting to move down the field. It's Clemson who's got it in the red zone with 2 to go in the third. Eberle, play action, looks to throw it. Eberle up the middle, it's caught. Inside the 10-yard line, Legend Adungo hauls it in. 3rd and goal, QB sneak for Eberle. His 4th all-purpose touchdown of the game, and Clemson regains the lead. After both teams scored 24 each in the first half, no points until the final 30 seconds of the third, where it's Eberle who puts Clemson ahead 31-24 with 1 quarter to go. USC scored on all but 1 drive in the first half, not counting the one that ended the first half. But both times they got it in the third, they had to punt it away. Average yards per play has gone way down. Only 10 for Clemson, only 7.5 for USC. And both of those marks are still really good in a vacuum, but a lot lower than they were in the first 2 quarters. 2nd and 4 for the Trojans. They've got it a little bit past the 42. Jackson looks to throw it under pressure. It's Bulaga again. 2nd of the game for the Tigers, as that'll make it a 3rd down and 11. Huge play here for USC. They don't want to give Clemson the ball back and possibly fall down by multiple possessions. They've got to keep it within 1 score. They've got to get this first down, and they do. It's Matthew Firth, who's been quiet in this game. We haven't really called Eric Henderson's number a lot. It's not because he's not making plays. It's because he has shut down Matthew Firth all night. Up the middle, it's Coel who gets it inside the 25-yard line. Bud Coel, I thought, was a little quiet in that first game against Arizona State, but he had a couple big touchdowns against Texas Tech, and he's been great today. Jackson up the middle. It's caught inside the 5. Bud Coel once again. First and goal. Jalir Jean walks it in. We're tied again, now at 31. Back and forth, hot potato. The pendulum keeps swinging. Clemson will get it back with 7 to go in what has been, without question, the best game of the college football playoff so far. Big third down, quick throw is caught for a first down. Legend Adongo with a huge reception for the Tigers. Under 4.5 minutes to go now. 3rd and 12. Eberle, pump fake, has time, launches a rocket, but he gets smacked in the pocket by Addison Melvin. USC gets it with a chance for the lead. Jackson's pass is low for Kyrie Sampson. They will have to punt it. And Clemson gets it back again. 3:25 to play in the fourth. Game-winning drive opportunity for Eberle as he connects with Judah Yesufu, who's certainly been quieter in the second half. Not that that really says a whole lot. Short throw is caught. Cole Gooden reaching for every yard as he gets the first down for the Tigers. 1.5 now. Eberle, his pass is caught. It's Yesufu. He gets by Weischer inside the 10 to around the 5. 10 catches for 276 yards for Judah Yesufu. Holy moly, this guy is ridiculous. Clemson now the chance for the lead. 1:22. Emmanuel Whippler. He is pushed in. Clemson regains the lead. 38-31. The backup running back, Emmanuel Whippler, is the one who makes the play. He was the third stringer for the first half of the year until Damon Hershey got injured. So it's 38-31. Clemson's offense holds their end of the bargain. Now it's USC's turn. They've only scored 7 points in the second half. Game-winning drive, or I guess game-tying drive opportunity for Jackson. Lobs it on 3rd and 12. No, it's incomplete. Eric Henderson, who's been outstanding today with the defense on Matthew Firth. There is a flag, a holding against USC. Clemson's going to decline the penalty because they know if they get a stop here on 4th and 12, the game is over. This is it for USC, season on the line. Jackson, are you a man or are you a mouse? Jackson, up the middle, it's caught! Kyrie Sampson with a huge gain, and that will keep the season alive for the Trojans. 3rd down and 5. Jackson steps up, scrambles, looking, end zone, broken away. Isaiah Austin got a hand on it. 4th down now, they'll go for it again. Does Jackson look like a first-round pick on 4th and about 5? Jackson scrambles. It's caught by Kyrie Sampson again. Another 4th down conversion for Sampson. They don't have any timeouts, though. They've got to keep it moving. With 15 seconds left, Jackson will clock it. 14 seconds on the clock. It's 2nd and 10. USC is without any timeouts. Jackson and empty. Quick throw to the sideline. It's incomplete. Now that play only wasted 2 seconds off the clock. And I think at this point, if you're USC, you're looking for 2 shots to the end zone. Clemson's fully prepared for this. They're going to send back 8 and only rush 3 as Jackson throws it away. And it'll come down to this. USC has already converted on 4th down twice this drive. Can they do it one more time? 4th and 10 at the 26 with 8 seconds. Jackson lobs it up for the end zone. It is caught! Colin Daniels, his 3rd of the game! And USC continues to hang on, an extra point away from tying it up. What on earth has this game been? USC with 3 4th down conversions, including a Hail Mary with seconds left. Now they've still got to make the extra point to tie the game up with 3 seconds, but holy cow, what a drive by Jackson as the kick is good. 38-38. We're headed to overtime. We get more football of this masterpiece of the game. I can't wait. So as college overtime rules go, both teams will start at the 25 on the opening drive. If it's still tied, both teams start at the 25 again and will have to go for 2 if they score a touchdown in the second overtime. And then after that, it's alternating 2-point conversions the rest of the way. Clemson wins the toss. They will start on defense, so Jackson and company will hop right back into the game. 2nd and 8 at the 23 for the Trojans. Read option. Jackson with space. First down. He's wrapped up at around the 15-yard line by Eric Henderson. 2nd and 6 at the 11. Jackson, end zone, touchdown! Quick drive for USC. It's Matthew Firth who beats Henderson. Might be the first bad play all game from Eric Henderson Jr. Might be his first bad play of the playoff, other than that pass interference against Texas where he was celebrating way too early. So USC, their offense does their job in overtime number 1, and now the pressure shifts towards Clemson. USC's been playing from behind all game, not Clemson. So I'm curious to see how the Tigers will respond to this. 2nd and 3. Eberle the read option. Eberle with room. He is in for a score. Quick get back from Clemson. And through one overtime, this game remains tied at 45. Couple of big runs from both of these quarterbacks. Eberle's second rushing touchdown of the game. Off to overtime number 2 as Clemson will start with it. Not their first time in double overtime this year. They needed 2 OTs to get by the mighty Virginia Tech Hokies earlier in the year, as that one is caught by Messiah Cook. They will not give him forward progress, though, for the first down. 3rd and inches. Eberle looks to throw it, and it's caught! Messiah Cook, huge reception inside the 5, to around probably the 2.5-yard line. 2nd and goal now for the Tigers. Eberle hands it off. Winters is in. Another touchdown for the Clemson offense. But now they've got to go for 2. Look to make it a full 8-point lead with basically identical field position to their touchdown starting at the 3. They chose to run it with Winters. This go around, we'll see if they change the play call, and they do. It's a pass. Doink! Off of Michael John's shoulder pad. It's incomplete. And who knows, that 2-point miss could come back to bite them. Touchdown for USC ties it. Touchdown and 2-point conversion wins it. Anything else loses it. 3rd and 10 at the 25. Jackson all by himself and empty as he looks to throw it. Looking for the end zone. Incomplete. Looking for his tight end, Cesar Lorello, and it'll come down to this. 4th and 10. USC converted 3 separate times on 4th down on their last drive. As it's broken away, Amarion Gaskins will send Clemson to the championship game. A double overtime classic. But the Tigers hang on to win the 6-7 Bowl, or I guess the Cotton Bowl if you're lame. What a game this ended up being. Oh my goodness. I mean, we were due for a great game, and boy did this one deliver. Nick Eberle and Judy Yesufu lead the Tigers in a high-scoring, unbelievable thriller. 96 total points. USC clawing back at the end of regulation with 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns, including basically a Hail Mary. But the Trojans fall short, and the team of destiny continues on to the national championship against either Georgia or Miami. What a game. That was awesome. 1,100 yards of offense, over 100 passes, and nearly 1,000 passing yards from these two teams today. I mean, we were treated to a clinic against 2 of the best secondaries in the country, no less. But Nick Eberle and Jackson Jackson put on an absolute show. I mean, this was awesome viewing. Holy moly. So we'll start with USC. Jackson Jackson was unfreaking believable today. 39 of 62, 474, and 5 touchdowns, and he didn't throw a turnover. No interceptions, no fumbles, no nothing. I think it's hard to argue against the idea of Jackson being a first-round pick. I mean, he has outplayed, arguably, Tyree Wells and Bryce Carver against Clemson, and he's been playing at that first-round level for quite some time this year. He could return to school next year and make USC one of the title favorites, but I think he'd be a first-round pick if he declared for the draft. He has looked unreal as of late. 300-yard receivers. Sampson had 121, including a couple of big 4th downs. Daniels had 3 touchdowns, including the big one at the end. And then Bug Coel had 101 yards himself. Cesar Lorello, though, the tight end, who had a terrific freshman year, had 3 drops. But otherwise, Sampson, Daniels, Coel, they were great. Matthew Firth was pretty good, although for the most part, Eric Henderson held him in check. This defense, though, was pathetic. Now, yes, they were better in the second half, and they did pick off Eberle twice in the first half. But, I mean, you cannot allow 51 points and expect to win. Not enough action in the backfield, only 1 sack. Yeah, they got the 2 picks. But, like, when the lights were the brightest in overtime and at the end of the fourth quarter, they faltered. Nick Eberle, over the last 2 games, has thrown for, I think, pretty much 1,000 yards. That's not an exaggeration. 35 of 44, 512, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. A little bit of everything from Eberle. He had a couple of bad throws. The turnovers have been a problem. I think that's probably why he's going to stay in school next year. But, I mean, holy cow. When, again, the lights were the brightest, as has been the case all year for this Clemson team, they come up big. Eberle ran for 2 scores. Winters and Whippler each added 1 themselves. And then Judy Yesufu, my God, this guy is unguardable. 10 catches, 276 yards, 3 touchdowns, nearly 200 yards after the catch. He had a lot of his matchups against Buxton Weischer, the CB1 in this draft, and at times he made Weischer look foolish. Messiah Cook, 9 for 107. He's playing the best football of his career down the stretch. Clemson's defense, though, was not great. This vaunted secondary was not impressive. I thought Eric Henderson had a good game, and that was really about it. So it'll be interesting to see how they look against either Georgia or Miami in the national championship as they face off against each other at the Orange Bowl. This is Miami's home stadium. This is a home game for the Canes. Now, as I had mentioned going into the Cotton Bowl, I think the winner of this game will be the favorite to win the national championship. Neither of these 2 teams have the resume that either Clemson or USC does, but they've been arguably the 2 most dominant teams in the country, and you can only play who's on your schedule. Miami has won all of their games this year by at least 13 points, and with the exception of their game in week 1, every single one of their wins has been by at least 3 scores. They're blowing teams out with relative ease. I would argue their most competitive game of the year was against us. I think we were only down by 4 at half, and then Miami kind of ran away with it after. But they've only played one ranked opponent this year. That was Clemson, who they lost to after holding the lead for most of the game. I mean, what's their signature regular season win? Louisville, I guess? But they really made a statement by blowing out Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl, a team who had beaten both Clemson and USC earlier in the year. And again, you can only play against the teams on your schedule. It's a pretty easy schedule, but Miami's blowing everyone out. What else are they supposed to do? Graham Glikowski's been inconsistent over his Hurricanes career, but I think he's more experienced than he was last year, and I think he's more ready for the big stage. And after a little bit of a sloppy start against Notre Dame, he looked good in the second half. I'm curious to see how they run the ball. They haven't ran it well this year, but they look good against Notre Dame. Joshua Finney, I think, is one of the most underrated players in America. Marquise Maryland is a very good receiver in his own right. The offensive line might be the best in the country. And defensively, I don't know if there's anybody in college football who is the talent, top to bottom, that Miami does on that side of the ball. This is pound for pound the best roster in the country in terms of just pure on-paper talent. Akeem Boger didn't play against Notre Dame, their big defensive tackle. He's back. That's a big deal. Ahmad Lacey picked off Max Logan twice. He's got 8 this year. Kwabena Kamalu, probably going to be a first-round pick, and Lacey might as well. As for Georgia, these guys went through the ringer after their loss against Alabama. They were the offseason losers. They lost all their key players to the draft, and the guys who were still here, they left in the portal. Hoppy Reynolds to LSU, Sir Odiah Nobles and Taylor Pierce to Tennessee, amongst others. Maurice Shiroga, the number 1 player in the portal, he's on the other sideline. He's at Miami. And after losing against Ohio State in week 1, it really felt like the sky was falling for this team. But since then, they have run the table. However, much like Miami, they don't really have a signature win. Auburn, I guess, earlier in the year. Now, they've proven themselves these last 2 games. They beat Oklahoma in the SEC title game, and they blew out LSU in the Sugar Bowl. So, much like Miami, you can't really fault them for who's on the schedule. And now in the postseason, when they're playing against really good teams, they're winning those games. Ryan Lockley has had an impressive year. He's arguably the most accurate quarterback in the country. He's waited his turn for 3 years, finally has gotten to start, and he's taken full advantage. They've got a running back by committee with 3 very, very good backs. And then Brian Maddie at receiver is a chance to be the first in college football history with a 2,000-yard season. He's at 1,848. He averages 132 per game. If Georgia beats Miami, I think it's a no-brainer because he would have to average around 75 a game. His season low is 83. The real question is if he's going to get it done in this first game. He had over 130 against LSU, and he would need 152 to surpass the mark, so the odds are probably in his favor. Defensively, these guys are really young, but they're really good. Up front, they've got some monsters. Brendan Mankins, beast. Isaiah DeRougie, 10 sacks. Crusher Hoyt, probably going to go in the first round. Walt Blanco, really fun player. And then in the secondary, it's a very young group, but it's a very good one. Loaded at safety with guys like Aries Frost, Isaiah Speasy, and Jeff Gokong, who had another playoff interception last week against Hoppy Reynolds. These are arguably the 2 best teams in the country. They would be the favorite regardless who wins against Clemson in the title game. Sure, the resumes are not as impressive as Clemson or USC for that matter, but they've both been better throughout the course of the year than Clemson and USC. Georgia's the only team from last year's semifinals to make it back as they start with the ball. Lockley up the middle for the John Mackey Award winner, Jared Irving, another projected first-rounder. Georgia had a couple quick touchdowns a week ago against LSU. They're looking for the same today. Lockley looking for the end zone for guess who? Brian Maddie. Tipped and picked! Trayshawn Price has got it in the end zone. Great man-to-man coverage by Ahmad Lacey, and Price gets it off the hands of Brian Maddie. We talked about Ahmad Lacey in the prospect profile for the Browns episode. He's a terrific man-cover corner, but he's got quite the test today. Short throw is caught. It's a first down past the 40-yard line. Canes looking to get moving early. That's Marquise Maryland with the reception, a projected day 3 draft pick. On the blitz, Glikowski overthrows his target. Good coverage by Georgia. And the center, Zach Rawlings, is hurt for Miami. 3rd down and 12 for the Dogs. Lockley looks to throw it. He has all day. On the run, looking deep. It is intercepted again. Ahmad Lacey has got it for the Canes. On the return, he gets it to around the 40. Lacey had an interception last week against Maxwell Logan. He's got another one today, his 9th of the year. And the transfer from Illinois gets it back for Miami. 2 drives, 2 interceptions so far for Ryan Lockley. Granted, they've both kind of been arm punts, but still. Here's Miami back with it up the middle. Joshua Finney breaking tackles to around the 10. Under pressure, Glikowski is sacked by Crusher Hoyt. The redshirt sophomore, 7.5 sacks. Top projected edge rusher in this year's class, which more so speaks to the fact that it's not a great edge group. 3rd and 8. That one is caught, but a quick hit prevents Georgia from getting the first down, and that'll bring out the field goal unit for Miami. Looking to make it 3-0. The kick is up, and it is good. So Miami does somewhat take advantage of the turnover by getting the field goal. Georgia still with a good red zone stop. They're hoping this drive ends in something other than a takeaway. Lockley's already been picked off twice as he's got Jimmy Abbott. High pointing the football past the 50 to the 45. Injured player on the Miami defensive line. Now a 3rd down and 3 for Georgia. 3:13 to play in the opening quarter. Lockley looking for the end zone for Brian Maddie. He's got it! Touchdown, Georgia! Brian Maddie's now only about 100 yards away from 2,000 on the year as he burns Ahmad Lacey, who had the interception on the last drive. 7-3 lead for the Dogs. Miami's got it back. 3rd down and 1. Glikowski, QB sneak, he's stopped. Brendan Mankins with the hit, and that'll do it for the opening quarter. Slow start for Georgia. Couple of interceptions, but they respond with the touchdown by Brian Maddie and lead at 7-3. Miami's offense hasn't looked all that impressive so far. They haven't been able to run the ball, which has been their issue through the course of the year. And even with the 2 takeaways, they've only scored 3 points out of it. So definitely some work to do if you're the Canes. Georgia's starting to get a little bit of momentum after struggling through those first couple of minutes. 3rd down and 4. Lockley steps up, scrambles on the run. It is broken away. Good coverage in the Miami defensive backfield. Should have been intercepted again, as it's 3rd down from a little bit past the 20. Glukowski looks to throw it. He's got an absolute cannon. Down the field for Gaffney. It's broken away. Good coverage by Georgia. Ray Kearns gets a hand on it. Dogs back with it. 5.5 in the quarter. Nice catch. Jared Irving showing why he's projected to go in the first round. He high points the ball. And Georgia's got it inside the red zone, looking to make it a 2-score lead. Big opportunity for the Miami defense. 3rd and 13. Lockley scans. His pass is broken away. Cam Irving with the deflection, and that'll bring out the field goal unit from the right hash. 38-yarder for Cash Money. His kick is up, and it is good. Living up to his namesake, Georgia makes it 10-3. Still a 1-score game, though. Miami's got to feel fine with how that drive went. Could have gone a lot worse. Glukowski's picked off. Aries Frost has it for Georgia. Comes up limping after the play, but a huge takeaway from the sophomore safety. Georgia goes 4 deep at safety. I mean, they've got 4 studs who all play a lot, including Frost, who leads the team in interceptions, now with, I believe, 4. 3rd and 2. Lockley steps up, scrambles. It's broken away late. In and out of the hands of Adrian Moon, the redshirt freshman, as Cash Money will attempt this kick now from 40 yards in the left hash. Looking to make it a 2-score lead. It is good once again. 13-3, a 2-possession lead for Georgia. Graham Glukowski intercepted twice against Notre Dame, picked off again against Georgia. Miami only has 3 points. Their offense is not looking good. Glukowski up the middle, it's caught. Joshua Finney with the first down past the 50. They've got to find a way to get Finney the ball. Every time Virginia Tech has played against these guys, Finney always breaks off a couple of huge catches. They're not going to do anything there, though. Georgia with the stop. Walton Blanco with the tackle on the running back. 3rd and 3 with just 21 seconds left now for Georgia. Lockley looks to throw it up the middle. It's caught. Jared Irving's had a big first half. Georgia uses a timeout. That's their 3rd and final. Only 7 seconds now. Lockley might as well throw it up for the end zone, you would think. He's got time. Scrambles on the run, and he is sacked. Darrell Ramsor, the freshman, brings him down, and that'll wrap up the first half in Miami. Doesn't feel much like a home game, though. Georgia leads it 13-3. Unfamiliar territory for Miami, who dominated early in every game they played in. Even their one loss against Clemson, they had a big lead for most of it. The Canes, though, they've really struggled on offense. Only 105 yards, only 3 on the ground. Ryan Lockley hasn't even been all that impressive. He's 16-30, 181 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions through the air. Jared Irving, 4 for 57. Brian Matty, 3 for 50 and a score. As for the Canes, Glukowski, 11 of 18, 102 yards and a pick. No touchdowns yet for Miami. They obviously haven't been able to run the ball. Maryland, 4 catches, 30 yards. Finney, 3 catches, 60 yards. Got to lean on those 2 receivers. Those are the 2 best skill position players on the roster by far. 3rd and 10. Miami starts with it as Glukowski is sacked. Walton Blanco brings him down. There is a penalty, but it's going to be on the offense. Georgia will decline it. A hold against Gabriel Price, who still lets up the sack anyway. Georgia gets it back. Big start to the second half for their defense. 3rd and 7. Lockley up the middle. It is caught. Nice catch. Brian Matty with Lacey draped over him. Matty's getting closer and closer to that yards mark. He's at about 19-20 now. Lockley's pass dropped by Moon. Both Jamison Vales and Brian Matty are hurt. Obviously, Matty, that's huge. That goes without saying. Vales, the transfer from Miami, has been Georgia's lead running back today. Picked again! 2 interceptions for number 2. Ahmad Lacey sits at 10 on the year. And Ryan Lockley's been picked off 3 times here in the semifinal game. Miami has the same amount of interceptions on defense that they have points on offense. Their defense has been brilliant. Hasn't mattered. Glukowski goes deep for Finney. There's the big play they were looking for. Joshua Finney gets over 50 yards. Miami needed that one really badly. Now at the 30. Handoff for KG Grouch. Have not seen much of him today. He's been banged up all afternoon as he's hurt again after losing 7. 3rd down and 18. Now for Miami. Glukowski. He is picked again. Jeff Gokon has got it for Georgia. Gokon with an entourage to the end zone. He will not be caught. A pick six for Georgia. And the Bulldogs are in full control here in South Beach. Jeff Gokon has 6 interceptions over the last 2 years, 3 of which have been in the playoff. He picked off Brendan Holloway last year. He picked off Hoppy Reynolds last week. And now the projected top 100 pick at safety gets a house call against the Canes. Jeff Gokon is not the biggest. He's not the fastest. But man, this guy makes big-time plays in big-time games. 20-3 lead for Georgia. Miami's offense has got to wake up. They've been pitiful in this game. Devon Berry Jr. with a juke move. Another true freshman running back. He gets the first. Past the 45. Eventually wrapped up by a couple of defenders. I think Isaiah DeRugi was amongst them. Following play action. High pass is caught. Joshua Finney again, 5 for $137. He is the real deal. Georgia uses a timeout. That's their second. 3rd and 3. Glikowski scans the field, tucks it, runs, gets the first past the 20, the 15, nearly to the 10. As Sproles hurt for Georgia. The Bulldogs have had a couple guys get dinged up today on defense. 2nd and inches nearing the end zone. Miami has not scored a touchdown all day until now. Devon Berry flipped in for his score. Okay, maybe Miami's not out of it. They cut the lead back to 10. 20-10, Georgia has it back. Their offense still really hasn't played a great game. Lockley's been intercepted 3 times, but the defense has been terrific. Lockley evades the sack, looks to run, does not get it. So Miami gets the stop, and they have a chance to make it a one-score game here, even with just a field goal. 3rd and 5, it is caught! Marquise Maryland, he's not the biggest, but he's physical at the catch point. 2nd and goal, touchdown! Miami, we've got a game! Otis Gaffney with the score, and all of a sudden what once looked like a blowout is now within 3. That pick 6 really woke up this Miami team. Give them credit. I mean, they've been able to come back through some adversity. They really haven't trailed at all the entire year. This is entirely new territory for them, and they're keeping it a game. 20-17, Georgia still is the lead. They're losing some momentum that they had all of just a few minutes ago with the Gokon pick 6. As they've got it with a huge play, 3rd and 2 at the 25, and it is caught. Jared Irving with a huge first down, the big tight end. What a player this kid is. 3rd and 10, it's dropped. In and out of the hands of Jimmy Abbott. Miami's a field goal away from tying it and a touchdown away from taking the lead. Glikowski looking deep. It's caught! Into the bucket! He's got Marquise Maryland past the 35. Look at the Miami offense go. Where was this for 2.5 quarters? 3rd and 8. Another first down. It's Otis Gaffney. Everybody's getting the ball on offense. Everybody got to eat. Under 6.5 to go, 3rd and 3. Glikowski caught just outside of the end zone for Gaffney. They've got it at the half-yard line. 1st and goal. Berry. Touchdown! They were down 20-3 at this point in the 3rd quarter, but Miami has gone on a warpath, destructing everyone in their way. 21-0 run over the last 10 minutes, and Miami takes the lead. Here in the 4th quarter of the Orange Bowl, what a comeback for the Hurricanes. It's 24-20. Georgia's offense has been asleep since the 1st quarter. Well, now you got to wake up. The defense ain't looking too hot. Lockley is sacked. Big play by the big fella, Akeem Boger. Miami's missed him over the last few games. Good to have him back. 3rd and 3. Georgia is kind of moving it reasonably well. They did get a first down after the sack. Now Lockley doesn't get it this go around. Another drop for Moon. Drops have been a problem today for Georgia, and they will go for it here on 4th and 3. I think this is the right call. Lockley looks to throw it, and it's dropped again. Adrian Moon, number 2, was wide open. Why did Lockley not go that direction? Miami's got it back. 3rd and 4. They'll run it with Berry. They don't get it. So Georgia gets the stop. Isaiah Speasy with the tackle. Georgia uses their third and final timeout as Miami brings out the field goal team. It's a long kick. It's a 56-yarder for Steven Wagner to up the lead to 7, and it is good. 24-0 run for Miami, and Georgia is going to need a full touchdown to tie the game. They only have 2 touchdowns today, one of which was a defensive score. They haven't gotten an offensive touchdown since halfway through the first quarter. The big play by Brian Maddie, who's been shut down in the second half by Ahmad Lacy. 2nd and 6 with Abbott in motion. Lockley, pump fake. He'll go short. He's got Abbott in space with a first down. Just shy of the 30, wrapped up by Cam Irving, and that'll bring us to the 2-minute timeout. Who could have seen this coming halfway through the third? Miami a couple minutes away from the national championship. Lockley lobs it up for Brian Maddie. He's got it with a foot in bounds. Brian Maddie's been quiet in this second half. Ahmad Lacy has had his number, but Maddie makes a great play. Excellent footwork to keep the Toesies in. Following play, Lockley for the end zone. Picked again! Ahmad Lacy, his third! And he will send Miami to the championship game. What a night for Ahmad Lacy. Now, technically, it's not over because Miami has it at the half-yard line. They've got to make sure there's not a safety. But since Georgia's out of timeouts, unless they lose yardage here, Miami's got this game done. They're going to run it with Berry. Just move forward. What are you doing? Because he gets about 4. So that's more than enough room. Although they're not going to kneel the clock out. Why? LSU didn't do this against Penn State. They nearly blew the game, and their star running back got hurt. Miami not learning from that mistake. They'll run another play here on 3rd and 3. Don't do anything stupid, guys. Nothing dumb. They're going to run it. Berry gets the first, and that'll do it for good. Down 20-3. Miami storms back at the Orange Bowl to knock off the top-seeded Georgia Bulldogs. The number 1 seed Georgia falls in the semifinals for a second straight year, and we've got an all-ACC national championship. It'll be Miami and Clemson, 2 teams who have already played against each other this year. Miami's only loss of the season came to Clemson, and now they will get a chance to avenge it. Miami's defense was terrific all day. Ahmad Lacy with 3 interceptions. He's got 11 on the year. Brian Maddie did get 100 yards, but Ahmad Lacy won that individual matchup. He allowed a couple big plays, but nothing more. Yeah, he got cooked on this catch by Maddie late in the 4th, but he got the game-winning interception on the very next snap. Ahmad Lacy was terrific. He's the player of the game. And, you know, if Miami does beat Clemson, he feels like the favorite to be the college football playoff MVP if they win, which is obviously a huge if. Miami lost to these guys at home earlier in the year. Great comeback from Miami. They showed a ton of resilience, a ton of fight, and this game certainly opened my eyes to them. I mean, I knew these guys were really good, maybe the best team in America, but they haven't really seen adversity. They did today, and obviously they really embraced it, outscoring Georgia 24-0 after the pick 6. It's been a weird season for Georgia, a very weird year with a disastrous offseason, starting 0-1. Then they won out after that, but here in the semifinals, it was a rough one for Ryan Lockley. He completed less than 50% of his throws, and he was picked off 4 times. Now, Georgia did have 8 drops. The receivers didn't help, but the quarterback play was not great. Had they had Hoppy Reynolds back there, I think it could have been a different result. I think this shuts down any idea of Lockley entering the NFL next year, which I guess is good for Georgia probably. I'm sure they'll be happy to bring him back. Brian Maddie, 6 for 106. Georgia had 8 drops, though. That's a problem. Maddie will finish just shy of the 2,000-yard threshold. He's at about 1950, which is still absurd. He was really good for the most part, a couple of big plays. But through the course of the game, as I mentioned, I feel like Ahmad Lacy won the battle with him. Jared Irving, 6 for 67. Couple of drops from him, which is rare. Adrian Moon let 3 go out of his hands. Offensive line was good. Defense for 2.5 quarters was unstoppable. Then they get the pick 6 by Jeff Gokon, and then everything kind of falls apart. They let up 24 points over the last 4 drives after only allowing 3 the whole game. I don't think Georgia sent enough pressure. This is a really good pass rush, and granted, they're playing against the best offensive line in America. They did get 3 sacks, but it felt like Glikowski wasn't really disrupted down the stretch. And Graham Glikowski really showed a lot of toughness. He sucked for 2.5 quarters, but when he needed to bunker down, he did. 28 for 41, 314, touchdown, and 2 picks. KG Grouch, who was the offensive player of the game last week for Miami, he was banged up. He didn't play well when he got the ball, so they leaned on Devon Berry Jr., the true freshman, scoring a pair of touchdowns for them. Through the air, everybody ate. Joshua Finney, 8 for 182. This guy is awesome. Again, one of the most underrated players in America. If they fed him the ball more, we'd be talking about him as a first-rounder, I think. He is ridiculous. 8 for 60 for Maryland. Gaffney at 37 and a score. And then this defense, they were awesome. The whole game, really. They only allowed 1 offensive touchdown. Getting Akeem Boger back was a big deal. And then in the secondary, Ahmad Lacy. This kid is a hell of a player. Yeah, he's a little scheme dependent. He's not really good in zone. Miami doesn't run zone. They play man-to-man coverage. He was in man on Matty the whole game, and he really limited the impact of Brian Matty. He took him out of the game other than a couple big receptions. Price with a pick 2. Kwabena Kamalu, the projected first-rounder. We didn't call his name today. Not necessarily a bad thing, though, in the secondary. I thought his coverage was really good. So with that, we're down to 2. Clemson and Miami. An ACC team will win the national championship this year. That's pretty cool. The 2 semifinal games, I think, were without question the 2 best games of the playoffs so far. Yesufu, the offensive player of the week, obviously. Cam Irving, the defensive player of the week. That's insane. How is it not Ahmad Lacy? That's crazy. Lacy and Yesufu were the 2 clear choices. Those 2 guys have been pretty comfortably the 2 best players in the playoff so far. So it'll be Clemson and Miami. Clemson, the ACC winner. Miami, 3rd in the ACC. Nearly identical in terms of points. Granted, Clemson's played 2 more games. But then look at the points allowed. Clemson has more than doubled. Miami has an average margin of victory, 26.4. Clemson's is 10.5. That is a noticeable difference. 16-point difference per game. We played against both these teams in back-to-back weeks. I felt like Miami was better. Now, we gave both of these teams actually reasonably competitive games. Glikowski did throw 2 interceptions. I think those came on the first 2 drives of the game. Really solid after that, though. Joshua Finney was great. The offensive line was great. The defense was great. No interceptions, though, which is kind of rare for them. Nazir Ismail at 7 for 103. Quiet for his standards, though. Ahmad Lacy, not a bad game. And then against Clemson, of course, we took them to double overtime. We played a lot better in this game than we did against Miami, especially on offense. Obviously, we had a hard time moving the ball with Cam Kingsbury, but we didn't against Clemson. Nick Eberle made plays when he needed to, though. Judah Yesufu was ridiculous. This was really our introduction to him. Their defense wasn't very good, but they've gotten a lot better. They did not have Eric Henderson in this game, and obviously he's proven to be one of their most important players on that side of the ball. Not only are they common opponents of us, but these 2 teams played against each other just a few weeks later in Miami. And this game was really the turning point for Clemson. The Tigers were down for most of it. They came back and won. And this was the game that started their rally. This is where Cardiac Clemson was born. They were 4-2. They had to win out. And this was the first game they did so. Trailing by 8 in the start of the 4th quarter. They trailed by as many as 15 later in the 4th, came back and won. Nick Eberle did not have his best game, but when the lights were the brightest, as we've seen with him, he delivered. Judah Yesufu at 101 yards, Gooden had 100, and the Clemson defense played really well. They looked a lot better than they did against us. Rumble at a sack. He is still out for Clemson. And Marion Gaskins had an interception. As for Miami, Glikowski, certainly not his best game either. A little spotty. Grouch scored twice. Maryland and Finney were both very productive through the air. The Miami defense was great for most of the game, but they struggled late. Offensive line also did not have their best game. Caleb Smolko allowed his only sack of the year. And Ahmad Lacy, yes, he did catch an interception in this game. largely matched up with Judy Yesufu, and that's the matchup that we're really going to watch out for. Judy Yesufu and Ahmad Lacy one-on-one. The two best players in the playoffs so far. Whoever wins this individual matchup between these two guys will probably see his team win the game and will probably win the college football playoff MVP. Judy Yesufu is the reason why Clemson won against USC. Without him, they would not have stood a chance. That's not to mention he had 100 yards and 2 scores against SMU. He was pretty good against Texas as well. As for Ahmad Lacy, he's the hottest defensive player in America. He has 4 interceptions in the playoffs so far, coming off 3 against Georgia. Yeah, he allowed a couple big plays to Brian Maddie, but everybody has this year. Lacy, for most of the game, shut him down. Lacy is as battle-tested as it gets. He's faced off against guys like Nazir Ishmael this year. He's already seen Judy Yesufu. So these two guys are fairly familiar with each other, and I think it'll be a really fun battle. 8 interceptions over the last 4 weeks is just ridiculous. When you look at Lacy, 6'2", 210, might be the best man cover corner in America, is one of those physical corners in the country. And then you've got Judy Yesufu, who's 6'6", who can run any route in the book and is dynamic after the catch. Whoever wins that matchup between those two guys will probably win the game and will probably win the playoff MVP. Welcome to Allegiant Stadium here in Las Vegas, the 2027 National Championship. Who will be our title winner here in Season 2? A couple of ACC opponents, 2 teams who we played against this year, and 2 teams who have already seen each other. Miami's only loss of the year came at home against Clemson. They've got a chance to avenge it. The Canes have been the best team in America, arguably, this year. They have by far the highest point differential. They are the clear favorite to win this game. But Clemson is the team of destiny. The Cardiac Cats have won 10 in a row. Why stop now? Miami opens up with the ball. Maryland does not get the first down conversion. Faizanur Samadi with the tackle. Very slow-paced game so far, as on 3rd down, Frosty Winters goes backwards. Cam Irving brings him down. We're already 6 minutes in. There hasn't really been a lot of action yet, as Miami's got a 3rd down and about 3. Glikowski up the middle. It is broken away. Good defense by the Tigers, and they'll get it back. Probably the 2 best secondaries in the country, and it has certainly looked like that early. That one is broken away. Cole Gooden, the intended target, and Miami gets it back. No moving of the ball whatsoever. Glikowski takes a shot as it's caught by the tight end Augusto Duarte, gain of about 7. Glikowski, though, is hurt on the play. D'Angelo Breston, a junior, will come in to replace him for probably a couple of snaps. 3rd and 3, Breston, it's caught for a first down by Marquise Maryland. And then from there, Glikowski will return to the game. Good to see him back up. He only ends up missing 2 snaps. As on 2nd and 10, Glikowski scrambles around under pressure. That one is caught. It's hauled in by Augusto Duarte, who gets it to around the 40, the talented junior tight end. And finally, we've got some movement. Glikowski gets about a yard, and he's hurt again as he's hit hard by Aristode Brown II. So Glikowski's out of the game again. And that'll wrap up the first quarter. No score in the national championship between Clemson and Miami, but the Canes are moving it down the field. They've got it in the red zone. Clemson only has 29 yards of offense, only 2.4 yards per play, a complete far cry from scoring 51 a week ago. Graham Glikowski will remain out of the game for Miami. It's still D'Angelo Breston in at quarterback as we look at a 3rd and 3. Gaffney in motion. I don't know where he's going. Play action. Breston goes short. Joshua Finney in for the first touchdown of the national championship. After no points from either side in the first quarter, Miami scores within seconds of the second. So I have some news about Graham Glikowski, and for Miami at least, it's not good. ACL sprain, out for the game. So Miami will be without their starting quarterback for the remainder of the national championship game, and Glikowski's title game is done after 1 quarter. D'Angelo Breston, a 69 overall junior, now has the entire Miami season hanging on his shoulders. Breaston has been the backup through the course of the year this year for Miami. He's 5'11", 204 pounds, a local kid, somewhat, from Sefner, Florida. And he's kind of a master of none, jack of none. He's not really good at anything. 58 awareness. Yikes. Here is the big twist, however. Prior to this game against Clemson, he has never recorded a collegiate snap. No snaps, no throws, nothing. And now he will be the quarterback in the national championship game for Miami. Good luck, buddy. You're getting thrown to the wolves. He does throw his first career touchdown to Joshua Finney, and it is 7-0 as Frosty Winters cuts into the outside with a juke move past the 40. I mean, who do you feel worse as right now? Clemson because they're losing, but Miami, who doesn't have their quarterback for the rest of the game. Eberle connects with his tight end, Miguel Johns. 2nd and 2. Play action. Eberle is sacked on the blitz by Jalen Flynn. So far, through over 13 minutes, Judah Yesufu has not caught a pass. Ahmad Lacey has dominated that individual matchup. That one is caught for a first down inside the 20 as it's hauled in by Derek Kane. Now looking at a 1st and 10. Play action. Up the middle, it's Derek Kane again. Touchdown, Clemson. Just the 3rd catch of the year for Kane. He had a touchdown against Texas and then gets back-to-back receptions right here, including a score to make it 7 apiece. Miami back with it, with D'Angelo Breaston at quarterback. The pocket collapses, and he is sacked. Isaiah Austin brings him down as we look at a 3rd and 15 for Miami. An uphill battle for the Canes, but what a hero, what a story it would be if D'Angelo Breaston can at least weather the ship for some time as he looks to run with it under pressure. Ran a little bit too late, has to slide in front of Eric Henderson. So Clemson gets the stop. They'll get it back on offense, looking to take the lead. Eberle on 3rd down with a strike. It's caught. Miguel Johns past the 45, wrapped up by Irving and friends. And after a slow start for the Clemson offense, they're starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm. Eberle on 1st down. His pass is caught. It's hauled in by Johns again. He's had a busy first half, who gets it to around the 30. That one could have been intercepted too. But Johns makes the play. He's been great for Clemson. On 2nd and 8, it's Winters who breaks a tackle. Winters with a spin move, and he's inside the 15-yard line. They're starting to get the young sophomore back going. He's averaging over 8 yards a pop. In the red zone on 1st down, Messiah Cook in motion. It's an RPO. It's caught. Cole Gooden spins into the end zone for a touchdown, and Clemson takes the lead. It's been all about the Tigers here in the 2nd quarter. Nick Eberle is starting to catch a little fire, and it's 14-7. Gooden, one of the unsung heroes of the offense, is the wide receiver 3 behind Yesufu and Cook, who have both been very quiet. Yesufu still, I don't think, has a catch as Miami gets it back. 2nd and 7. Here is Breaston. Lobs it down the field. It is caught! Otis Gaffney puts Henderson on a poster. There's the big spark of momentum that Miami was missing. 3rd down and goal from the 9. Breaston misfires. Trying to get it to Joshua Finney. Would have been his 2nd touchdown of the game. That'll bring out the field goal unit. A 26-yarder for Wagner. His kick is good. That'll make it 14-10. So Miami's staying afloat. I guess you can say Breaston is kind of weathering the ship. Clemson gets a 2-for-1, though. They start with it in the 2nd half, and they have the ball right now with a big chance to add to the lead. Judah Yesufu, finally, with a reception. He gets about probably 6-7 yards. 2nd and 3. Eberle looking up the middle. There he is, Yesufu again. Okay, I guess the All-American is awake after his 280-yard performance against USC. Under 30 seconds left, that one is caught up the middle. Cole Gooden, who scored on the last drive, gets another 1st down. Breaking all those tackles helped Clemson move the chains. They will use another timeout. 23 seconds. No timeouts left for the Tigers. They've got to be smart here with the clock. Eberle will look to throw it a little bit past the 50. Good footwork, moving around, scrambles, doesn't get the first down. They've got to hurry it up. Tick, 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 tick. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. Eberle spikes it, and they're going to go right to the field goal unit. This is a long kick. We're looking at a 55-yarder from the right hash for Anthony Rosa. His kick is up, and it is money. 17-10 lead for Clemson going into the break. The Tigers are in a good spot. They're up by a touchdown. They start with the ball. And Miami is a 69 overall who's never played a game in his life at quarterback. The Tigers have been the better team so far. They didn't score in the first quarter. Actually, neither team did. All the scoring so far has come in the second quarter. Nick Eberle, though, has really come along, and he's gotten everyone going. Judy Yesufu only has a few catches so far, but Kane is a touchdown. Gooden is a touchdown. Miguel Johns has been phenomenal. As for D'Angelo Preston, he did throw the touchdown to Finney. Had a really nice pass for Otis Gaffney. Otherwise, though, he hasn't looked great. As Clemson opens up the second half with a 2nd and 7. Emmanuel Whippler in motion. Eberle by himself. They've got it past the Miami 30-yard line, moving it really well on this drive. Quietly but efficiently, as that one is caught inside the 15-yard line by Cole Gooden, who's probably been Clemson's best receiver today, a player who Virginia Tech once heavily recruited out of high school a few years ago. Third down, play action rollout. It's caught, but Quincy Mwamba, the tight end, is out of bounds. Easy decision here for Clemson, I think. Take the points. I don't know how many more opportunities Miami is going to have to score, so I think just making it a 2-score lead feels like the easy decision. I know they were close, but I think that's the right call. 20-10, we're looking at a 3rd down and 6 for Miami, trailing by a touchdown and a field goal. 3rd and 6, Preston looks to throw it, goes up the middle, it's caught. Nice catch. Marquise Maryland with the first down. He's wrapped up by Isaiah Austin. 2nd and 13, 2 minutes to play in the third. Preston looks to throw it, backs up in the pocket, under pressure, and that one is incomplete. Caleb Smolko, the All-American left tackle, is now hurt. Miami really feels like they're starting to fall apart a little bit in terms of player health. 3rd down and 13. Star quarterback, a star may be loose there, but certainly superstar left tackle, both out of the game. As Preston lobs it up for the end zone, it is caught by the defense. Eric Henderson with the interception. He does not let Gaffney go up and moss him a second time. Henderson with 6 interceptions on the year. He's got 4 in the playoff. He's been outstanding in each and every game for Clemson. If the Tigers do hold on, with Judy Yesufu looking a little quieter today, there's a real argument for Eric Henderson in the secondary to be the MVP of the playoff. But they've still got to hold on. Game's far from over. Eberle on first down up the middle. Nice throw and catch. It's Messiah Cook with the spin move. So far, so good on this drive for Clemson. I think the key is just playing smart, efficient football. Don't try to do too much. Here's Gooden. He's got room to the outside. Wrapped up at around the 35. About 15 seconds left. This could be the final play of the third quarter. Clemson leads by 10 with the ball in enemy territory. Eberle looks to throw it. It's caught by Judy Yesufu. Breaking tackles. He gets it inside the red zone. Clemson is 1 quarter away from completing the season of dreams. They're up by 10. They've got it in the red zone. Miami has a backup quarterback who's never played a snap of college football until today. The ball continues to bounce Clemson's way. They just need 10 more minutes, and it's all theirs. 3rd and goal. Eberle to throw it. Nearly intercepted. That should have been caught. Clemson just caught a huge break. Now, there is a flag. I think it'll be on the offense. Holding on Deontay McCray, the left tackle. So Miami's going to decline it, and it will remain a 2-score game. So the door, I guess, stays a little bit open. Rosa on to kick. He's made 2 field goals so far in this one. It is up and good from about 24, and it's a 23-10 lead. Well, let's see what you got, kid. First career collegiate game. You're down by 13 in the national championship against one of the best secondaries I've ever seen. Let's see what you got, Mr. Preston. 8.5 minutes to go at the 41. D'Angelo Preston looks to throw it. Clean pocket. Lobs it up. And it's intercepted again. Eric Henderson gets another. 2nd interception of the game. fifth of the playoff, and he gets it to the 45. A very quick, very short-lived drive for Miami, and Eric Henderson continues what has been an all-time individual defensive performance through the span of a 4-game playoff. 3rd down and 3 now for Clemson. Touchdown pretty much ices the game at this point. Eberle under pressure, he's sacked. Darryl Ramsor, the freshman, gets to him. And again, it will remain a 2-score game. The door remains open for Miami, but it is closing fast. Now or never for the Canes. 2nd and 10, it's a screen. KG Grouch trying to break away from Austin. He does, but that might have been the worst thing he could have done there. He loses 10. Willis Buster finishes the job. 3rd and 20, it's just a screen. And Gaffney loses 2. Miami doesn't have a choice. There's only 5.5 minutes left. They've got to go for it on 4th and 22. This could be for the game. Breaston will look down the field. Marquise Maryland. No, it's broken away by, take a guess, Eric Henderson again. Why does he keep picking on him? From the 11, Judy Yesufu fighting for yards. He gets the first, and Clemson is inching closer and closer to this end zone, trying to make it a 3-score game and probably put their foot down on Miami. Now a 2nd and goal from the 4 with Frosty Winters in motion. I don't know where he's going. Eberle's going to go short. Winters has got it. Breaks a tackle. Winters, touchdown, Clemson! And the Tigers lead by 3 scores. 4 minutes and 39 seconds away from one of the most unlikely national champions I've ever seen. Clemson will go for 2 now, trying to make it a 21-point game. It's Emmanuel Whippler who does not get it. Miami with the stop. Will get it back on offense. Could be the last hurrah for this side of the ball. And their quarterback, D'Angelo Breaston, who is sacked on 3rd down by Glenn Yeast. They're going to go for it, obviously. 4th down and 16. Backed up at the 23-yard line with 3.5 minutes to go. Breaston looks to throw it. He's going to lob it up towards the sideline. It's broken away by Faezador Samadi. Clemson has it back. 3rd and 3. Final play before the 2-minute warning. Eberle, end zone, touchdown! All hail the Messiah. Let him cook. Messiah Cook adds some insurance points for Clemson, who is turning this into a blowout. 36-10 lead for the Tigers with 1:25. 3rd down and 6. Breaston under more pressure. That is nearly a thick pick, but it's incomplete. Miami's just going to punt the ball. They're going to wave the white flag. They know what's happening. Clemson is still running plays, though. Why do these teams just not kneel out the clock? I don't get it. Big run, though, for Winters to end it. They're not going to have to run another snap after that. And this game is over with just seconds to go. The team of destiny, the Clemson Tigers, against all odds, have won the national championship. I did not think there was any chance I would be saying those words at any point during the regular season. These guys were 4-2. They were blown out by Notre Dame. They had to win out, run the table, win 11 games in a row. And that they did with 4 fourth-quarter comebacks, including against Miami. And then in the postseason, they beat SMU in the ACC title, and then 4 playoff wins, 3 of which they won comfortably, with Texas, SMU, USC, and a 26-point win against Miami. Nick Eberle, the offensive player of the game, Eric Henderson, the defensive player of the game, and Judy Yesufu, the college football playoff's most valuable player. The Clemson Tigers have gotten back to the top of the mountain. A lot of people thought Dabo Swinney would never get back here. His stubbornness, not willing to use the transfer portal. Well, guess what? He goes in the portal. He looks at Liberty. He sees they've got this really talented 6'6" receiver. He ends up winning the college football playoff MVP. Now, there will always be a what if with this game. What if Graham Glikowski never gets hurt? Clemson won by 26. It was a blowout regardless. But you could easily make the argument if Glikowski was out there, things could have been different. D'Angelo Breaston was really bad. 10 for 26, 89 yards, touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Over half of his yards came on one play. I mean, there's not really a whole lot he could have done. He's never played a college football game in his life, and he was thrown in during the national championship. So it's hard to really fault him. It's an unenviable situation. And look, he wasn't the one who allowed 36 points. Now, granted, I think the score doesn't really tell it justice. I thought Miami's defense actually played pretty well. They allowed 2 touchdowns in garbage time. I thought Ahmad Lacy had a really good game. I thought he won the matchup with Judy Yesufu, but obviously Miami did not win the game. Nick Eberle, he's not perfect. He makes a lot of mistakes, but dadgummit, when it's time to make a play, when the lights are the brightest, when the moment is big, Nick Eberle is big. 38 for 43, 340, 3 touchdowns, and the big one for him, no interceptions. He didn't really look downfield that often, and I think once Glikowski got hurt, the game plan kind of changed for Clemson. Just play smart, efficient football. Don't turn it over. Don't make mistakes. They just needed Nick Eberle to be the point guard, the field general, and that he was. Frosty Winters on the ground had a really good game, 13 for 81. They did not miss Damon Hershey, their lead running back. They were 4-2 with him and 11-0 without. Judy Yesufu led the team in catches and yards, 8 for 80. He was still good, but he wasn't as good as he's been. I thought Ahmad Lacy had a nice day with him, but Yesufu was still able to make a couple of big plays, still wins the college football playoff MVP. Cook, 8 for 64 and a score. Gooden, 7 for 68. Johns, 6 for 58. Everybody ate for the Clemson offense. It was certainly the opposite of the USC game. And then the defense was outstanding, and they've been outstanding other than the USC game through the whole playoff. These guys against some great quarterbacks. Tyree Wells twice, Bryce Carver, and I guess D'Angelo Breaston. The real breakout star of this playoff run for them has been Eric Henderson, who had 2 more interceptions. He's been locked down in coverage the entire playoff run, and he's got 5 interceptions. His stock has gone way up. Got to shout out the rest of the DBs, though. Faizanur Sabati, Isaiah Austin, and Miriam Gaskins. All of these guys were great, but Henderson was the real star of the show. He had a big argument to be the playoff MVP. So Clemson is our second national champion, the 6th seed, over the number 4 seed Miami in the All-ACC title game. Clemson goes 4-0. They win 11 games in a row to finish the year. The team of destiny completes the unlikely Cinderella run. They were not supposed to be here. They were 4-2. They were coming off a blowout against Miami. But as we talked about all year with them, they just keep finding a way. Come from behind win against Miami. Came from behind against Louisville. Came from behind against Florida State. They barely beat 2-10 South Carolina. I thought they had fraud written all over them, and I was very wrong. 5 postseason wins, 4 of which by at least 14 points. Nick Eberle is a big-time player in the big moments, and I think the exciting thing for Clemson is that he's probably coming back to school, as will most of this offense. Frosty Winters will be back. Damon Hershey will be back. They are going to most likely lose Judy Yesufu, who's probably going in the first round, but Messiah Cook will be back. Cole Gooden will be back. Most of the offensive line is back. Defensively, they're also super young. Xavier Rumble is healthy. He was arguably their best defensive player this year. He didn't even play in the playoff because he was hurt. Now, the secondary will be depleted. Henderson, Sabati, Austin, Gaskins, they will all be gone. But other than the secondary and a couple of the receivers, Clemson's going to be able to run it back next year, coming off a national championship and 11 straight wins to finish the year as we take our final look at the media poll. NC State in 8th. That's kind of interesting. The ACC finishes 1st, 2nd. SMU is in 6th. NC State in 8th. And now that brings our attention back to Virginia Tech. The offseason in the next episode, likely to lose a lot of guys. Likely to lose Nazir Ismail, unless maybe we back up the NIL Brinks truck. Who knows? Anything's possible. That'll wrap up the episode. It's been a really fun season, really fun playoff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Off season coming up later this week. Peace out.